Coming up on 5 Minute News. Rudy Giuliani files for bankruptcy after being ordered to pay millions in defamation lawsuit. Biden says it's self-evident Trump is an insurrectionist. And federal judge blocks California gun law. It's Friday, December 22. I'm Santa Templeton. Rudy Giuliani has filed for bankruptcy just days after being ordered to pay $148 million in a defamation lawsuit. The former New York City mayor listed nearly $153 million in existing or potential debts. Those included hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax liabilities, money he owes his lawyers, and many millions of dollars in potential legal judgments in lawsuits against him. The biggest of those is the $148 million he was ordered to pay a week ago for making false statements about election workers in Georgia stemming from the 2020 presidential contest. Pointing to concerns he will try to conceal his assets during any appeals, a federal judge earlier this week ordered that Giuliani must immediately pay that money to the mother and daughter pair of election workers who sued him for defamation. Giuliani had repeatedly said he did not have the money to pay a high penalty for his comments. At trial, his lawyer said the $43 million sought by the plaintiffs was the civil equivalent of the death penalty and would be the end of Mr. Giuliani. The jury's verdict was more than 3 times as much. Giuliani filed his petition in the U.S. bankruptcy court for the Southern District of New York, court documents showed. In the filing, he said he had between $100 million and $500 million in liabilities and $1 million to $10 million in assets. The filing listed President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, as one of his creditors, without specifying the amount Giuliani owed him. Hunter Biden in September sued Giuliani for violating his privacy over data allegedly taken from his laptop. Giuliani also listed the Internal Revenue Service and New York State Department of Taxation and Finance among his creditors. US President Joe Biden said it is self-evident that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist for trying to overturn his 2020 election loss, but stopped short of commenting on a Colorado legal case that would bar him from the state's ballot. Whether the 14th Amendment applies or not, we'll let the court make that decision, Mr. Biden told reporters. But he certainly supported an insurrection. There's no question about it. None. Zero. And he seems to be doubling down on it, he added. Disgraced former President Trump has responded saying, "I'm not an insurrectionist," on the Truth Social site. The Colorado Supreme Court has ruled Trump is ineligible to serve as president again under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. It is the first time in the country's history that the provision has been used to keep a candidate off the ballot. Mr. Trump's lawyers said they plan to appeal to the US Supreme Court, but the former president has urged the High Court not to get involved right now, in a move which echoes what his legal strategy has been in all of his criminal cases to date, to delay the proceedings, ideally beyond the 2024 election. Mr. Trump has refused to back down from his claims that voter fraud allowed Mr. Biden to win in 2020, and he has pledged to pardon supporters who took part in the January 6 attack on the US Capitol. Mr. Biden has repeatedly condemned Mr. Trump and described him as a threat to American democracy. A California law that would have banned the carrying of guns in most public places has been blocked by a federal judge. U.S. District Judge Cormac Carney of the Central District of California said the law would unconstitutionally deprive concealed carry permit holders of their constitutional right to carry a handgun in public for self-defense. The California law, Carney wrote, is sweeping, repugnant to the Second Amendment, and openly defiant of the Supreme Court. California's Attorney General Rob Bonta, who was listed in his official capacity as the defendant in the lawsuit, said in a statement that his office would appeal the decision, stating if the ruling stands, it would endanger communities by allowing guns in places where families and children gather. Meanwhile, California Governor Gavin Newsom said he would continue pushing for more gun laws and that the federal court's decision greenlights the proliferation of guns in our hospitals, libraries and children's playgrounds, spaces which should be safe for all. Signed into law in September, the measure would ban concealed carry permit holders from carrying guns in 26 different categories of sensitive places, such as hospitals, playgrounds, stadiums, zoos, and places of worship. The Second Amendment of the US Constitution enshrines the right of citizens to keep and bear arms. The interpretation of exactly what that entails has been the source of intense debate and legal action for decades. Gun violence has been the number one cause of death for children in the US since 2020, and the US has by far the highest rate of gun deaths among rich countries.
5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.